You know, we've got mobile phones, we've got the delivery office address, so you can post things to us. You can talk to us on the phone, so, you know, it's not really that big an issue for them if they just think about it a little bit.
All sorts of people use the towpath, which is brilliant. Dog walkers, joggers, cyclists. We don't tend to have conflicts here. I know some places do. In fact, they have to sort of ban cyclists, or they put up all sorts of things because they have people racing through.
It's since the 90s that this particular canal path has been overly promoted by Sustrans as part of the sustainable cycle network. Most of these speeding cyclists, they're going to work at 6 o'clock in the morning and things like that, and they're not expecting folk. But in the afternoon when they're coming back, that's when it's busy. You know, that's when people have got their kids on the way from school and they've got their dogs out and stuff. And so I have seen a bit of friction with some of these mad cyclists in the past.
If your child is playing outside your boat on the towpath, then you basically have to be very, very vigilant, and every time there's a bike, you have to shout to them to get out of the way of the bike, otherwise they could get injured.
Come on, come on. Time to go.
The boys like playing outside, Finley especially, 2.5 years old. He's beginning to figure out ways of slowing down push bikes. He lays as many toys as he can across the towpath and creates obstacles.
You like that, did you? There are a group of hardened cyclists who just speed, who rush through and ring their bells and expect everybody to jump out of their way. Well, that's unreasonable, because everybody's got a right to walk along the towpath or to cycle along the towpath and not be hindered or harassed.
In the 9 years we've lived on the canal, we've seen a massive increase in the amount of boats on the water.
There are a lot of hire boats now on the stretch canal. I mean, we have a problem sometimes with them going too fast. I don't think they appreciate, you know, what the fast speed is doing, because the problem with the fast speed is sort of A, for wildlife, so you've got moorhens, you've got ducks on nests, and you know, if you're creating what they call a breaking wash, or if you're sort of creating a wave along the canal, you can actually do a lot of damage, especially this time of year.
I certainly think that the hire boat companies don't give them enough training, and nowadays with more and more people on the waterways, and it's dangerous. They should have much more training about the safety angles.
It's quite upsetting to see damage being done to the waterway when you yourself try to avoid doing that sort of damage if you possibly can.
It's incredibly dangerous having a 22-ton boat being operated by somebody who's very drunk. I'm up for everybody having a good time, but yeah, incredibly colourful language outside your window when your children are indoors is yeah, a little bit unnecessary, I think.
You could sum it up, speed is an issue on the canal and the towpath. People need to slow down, get into canal time and relax. Well, it's galling at times. But you just say, you know, they're more to be pitied than scolded, because they're missing a lot if they're just rushing by. One of the things on the canal can be isolation. And I'm glad to say these days the phone networks are getting better, and with smartphones and what have you, you can keep in touch with email and texting and the internet. I mean, I'm even watching BBC iPlayer on the boat now, real-time live TV, which is great for little Robin when she wants to watch her CBBC occasionally.
When I first took this mooring, it was a nightmare. It was email in the winter, sitting out on the cover, under the cover on at the table in the freezing cold, sending emails. But now things have moved on. You can receive in your steel tube. You can quite happily receive your mobile broadband relatively fast. I'm not on Twitter and things like this, but all the basics are good.
I was very pleasantly surprised to be in Great Bedouin the other week and find that I actually had a very good internet signal, because previously there's been virtually no reception on either the internet or the phone. Most people, including me, use more than one phone network to get better coverage throughout the canal.
I've had 2 bicycles stolen.
I've had my bike nicked a couple of times and I found it in the river both times.
The only thing that's ever happened in Bedouin is once a year, somebody breaks into a boat, takes a bottle of wine, drinks it, washes up the glasses, and the worst part about it is that they've broken and entered through the door, and the person has to have the door repaired.
It can be quite difficult not having a postal address.
Relatively recently, it was only last year, wasn't it, that we found out that we could use the post address stamp in Bradford-on-Avon on a permanent basis. So we get it all sent to the sorting office there, which is fine if it's stuff that comes through Royal Mail, but if it's something that goes through any of the private carriers, then they won't accept it.
For a number of years I found it really, really tough to find somewhere that I could have as a permanent address. But nowadays my bank and other areas, other things are allowing me to include as a home address a post office address.
I think the community is particularly good because a lot of people who live on boats are like-minded. You know, they're easygoing, they are open, you know, they're happy to meet other people and chat, and you know, when people like that come together, it works.
There's a lot of music on the canal, a lot of very talented musicians. You can always bump into somebody and have a little jam and create something new.
It's not just the singing that's important, because everybody's meeting together at that time. Lots of issues are raised about things going on within the community, about how some people can help other people if somebody's injured and needs their shopping getting, for example, that sort of thing. Everything gets raised and discussed in these sessions, so you know, it goes much further than music.
You use a lot less water and power than people in houses. You have to generate all your electricity yourself, so you're very conscious of how much electricity you're using.
If you walk along and look at the boats, almost every boat has a solar panel on the roof.
My wind turbine goes up in October and stays up until about March, April.
Setting a boat up like this was about trying to understand how we can live sustainably. People who live on the boats, they don't sort of use more than they need.
That is one thing we've chosen, to be closer to nature, so you've also got to be very careful about that, and it makes you learn a lot. So I've learned a lot about looking after the environment from being on the boat.
stereotype liveaboard boater is probably a bit of a crusty, has dropped out of society, smokes dope all the time, is constantly drinking, lives in a complete wreck, never moves their boat, or if they do, they move from one bridge to the next and then back again. You know, really not a very desirable sort of person to get to know, who never contributed anything to the community.
We sort of buck the national trend. I think most people on the boats own their own boats, they have their own homes. Most of them that I know work. The image that is portrayed of boaters is unfortunate. There's an unfortunate prejudice that really needs to be dispelled.
People think that we don't work very hard, or that people living on the boats don't have proper jobs. I once had a lady come out to the boat and she was complaining about some chairs which were left on the towpath. And she was like, you think you can just come around here? I've paid for my house. And she was going on a bit of a rant. I said, well, I'm the only one here, and I'm here with my son, Jem. And I went along a list of boats and said, well, Jim's a blacksmith, he's at work. Lewin's a carpenter, he's at work. The reason nobody's here in the middle of the day is because everybody's at work.
We're a whole load of different people, you know. We all have talents, we all have abilities. Most of us just want to be left to live our lives without interference.
The future doesn't look good. The transfer of British Waterways to the Canal and River Trust means that there is less accountability to Parliament.
I'm hoping that the new Canal and River Trust will have changed. A lot of it is of the organisation has been done from the office, and they haven't been sufficiently aware of the fact that they're dealing with canals and rivers, and that's where they should be.
If the cruising distances increase, we might have to reconsider our lifestyle. It'd be a shame, you know, we did it as a choice. The boys don't know any different now. They've been doing it all their lives. And, you know, we do love it, but it would be a shame for it to end for something like that.
For me, if I lose the court case, it just means I will have to travel away from this canal and leave some of the people I've come to know. To a degree, these people become your surrogate family. No one likes feeling lonely. A bit of company is what makes us all human, isn't it? A bit of company and hot food.
Wiltshire Council is probably at the forefront of sort of using the canal as an asset, using the liveaboard boats as an asset. This community should be an example to all, really, of what a community can be. So a community can be, you know, it can be sustainable, it can be environmentally friendly, it can be very supportive of each other.
I'm just really chuffed with Wiltshire Council that they've decided to do this. I think it's brilliant.
Yes, I'm really glad that we've had the opportunity, the whole community's had the opportunity to let the wider world know what we're all about.
The one wish I have is that boaters, continuous cruisers, are left alone to live their lawful lifestyle. Life is sweet here. We operate lawfully, and we have every right to do so.